Viewers, the Supreme Court today began its hearing on the Waqf petitions and in doing so, dropped a bombshell that should make every political leader pause. The court did not just call for calm, it sent a powerful message to the opposition and the ecosystem, if you will. The court has said that there are positive aspects of the law that must be highlighted, and violence in name of Waqf is utterly unacceptable. Viewers, let's cut through the noise. The Waqf law has been painted by the opposition as nothing less than an attack on Muslim rights, a war on a community, as Owaisi thundered in Parliament, tearing up the bill for dramatic effect. Rahul Gandhi and Congress chief Mallikarjun Kharge have called it a constitutional betrayal, while Mamata Banerjee's TMC has branded it a plot to divide India. Viewers, their rhetoric has been unrelenting, apocalyptic, and let's be honest, a calculated one. By framing these reforms as a sinister plot to seize Waqf properties and erode Muslim autonomy, they've stoked fear in the hearts of millions, turning a policy debate into a communal issue. And viewers, what's the result? Protests spiraling into violence, disrupting lives, peace and harmony, all in the name of a law that hasn't even been fully judged. Viewers, make no mistake about this. This is provocation, plain and simple. When Owaisi alleges violations of constitutional rights without engaging with the bill's intent, now the law. When Kharge demands its withdrawal without a shred of constructive criticism. When Mamata fans fears while ignoring the law's alignment with the Sachar Committee's own recommendations, they are not just misleading the public, they are playing with fire. Their words have consequences, and we are seeing them on the streets. The Supreme Court's condemnation of the Waqf-related violence is a wake-up call, a reminder that leadership demands responsibility, not recklessness. So viewers, here we are, the Supreme Court has spoken, urging all of us to see good in this law till it pronounces a verdict. But the opposition faces a test. Will Rahul Gandhi dial back the doomsday rhetoric? Will Asaduddin Owaisi offer solutions instead of sound bites? Will Mamata choose dialogue over division? Or will they keep fueling fear, betting on chaos to rally their vote banks? Viewers, as the Supreme Court resumes its hearing tomorrow, the people are watching. Will doubters heed the court's call for reason? Will they prioritize unity over ambition? Will they build bridges instead of burning them? Will leaders like Rahul Gandhi, Owaisi, Mamata, Akhilesh listen to court's wisdom, or will they continue to fan fears and provoke unrest for political gains?
The violence which had happened in Murshidabad and other parts of West Bengal, and we do sporadic incidents elsewhere, these are the result of these unmindful political statements given by Mamata Banerjee and some of the political leaders.
ये सारी ज़मीनें मोतीलाल बोरा जी उनके वो चेयरमैन थे और आईसीसी के कोषाध्यक्ष थे।
আপনি বাংলাদেশের পরিস্থিতি জানেন না? বেঙ্গল ইজ দ্য বর্ডার অফ বাংলাদেশ, নেপাল, ভুটান, শ্রীলঙ্কা। আপনি ইউনুসের সাথে গোপন মিটিং করুন, চুক্তি করুন, দেশের ভালো হলে খুশি হব। কিন্তু আপনার প্ল্যানটা কি? আপনাদের প্ল্যানিংটা কি? কালকে আমি একটা এএনআই টুইট দেখলাম, হোম মিনিস্ট্রি সোর্সকে কোট করে বলেছে এইরকম করেই ওরা দেয়। তাকে আমি দোষ দিচ্ছি না। इसमें बांग्लादेश का हाथ है। अगर हाथ है तो इसको जमींदारी तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का है कि बीएसएफ बॉर्डर संभालते हैं, हम नहीं संभालते हैं।
Let's open this up. Shahzad Poonawala, the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Mohammad Tariq Khan, national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, Tushar Gupta, Tehseen Poonawala, Selam Dharnidharan, national spokesperson of the DMK, Advocate Tala Rashadi, spokesperson of the Rashtriya Ulema Council, and Professor Monojit Mondal completes the panel. तारिक भाई, आपसे शुरू करते हैं। आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग बात कही। उन्होंने कहा कि हम इसको केस को और आगे सुनेंगे, कल भी हियरिंग है, लेकिन जो पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट्स हैं लॉ के, उसको हाईलाइट करने की जरूरत है। तो ये कौन करेगा?
उन्होंने तो ये भी कहा कि वक्फ बाय यूजर के बारे में कि जो 200-400 साल पुरानी मस्जिद है उसका पेपर वो कहां से लाएंगे? ये पॉजिटिविटी है या निगेटिविटी? यू डिसाइड बाय योरसेल्फ और बीजेपी विल एक्सप्लेन। दे हैव आल्सो सेड कि क्या नाउ मुस्लिम्स भी हिंदू बोर्ड्स में रखे जाएंगे? इस पे भी जवाब मांगा है, अभी ले लीजिए इनसे जवाब। यही जवाब क्या इनकी सरकार भी देगी? तो ये पॉजिटिविटी है या निगेटिविटी? इट्स टू अर्ली टू डिसाइड वेदर इट्स पॉजिटिविटी और निगेटिविटी, बट सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज कमेंटेड सर्टेन थिंग्स एंड सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हैज टू रिस्पॉन्ड एंड दैट कि आपने वक्फ बाय यूजर लेके आए। कैसे लेके आएंगे 400 साल पुराना? कल को कोई और कानून आ जाए जो मंदिर से भी कागज मांगे, गुरुद्वारे से कागज मांगे, देन व्हाट विल डू? यहां तो 400,000 साल 5,000 साल पुराने मंदिर हैं, उसका क्या करेंगे फिर आप? इसलिए कह रहा हूं कि इस तरीके की चीजें जो ये लेके आए हैं उसको आप साबित कैसे करेंगे? बताइए ना। यही कोर्ट ने आपसे पूछा है 2-4 सवाल, उसके जवाब आपको देना है सुप्रीम कोर्ट के अंदर, हमें नहीं देना है। आप
वो जवाब देंगे, वो
यहीं दे देना।
नहीं वो देंगे।
अरे यहाँ दे
पहले अरे मैं जवाब ले रहा हूं, लेकिन मैंने जो आपसे पूछा कि आप जो कह रहे हैं वक्फ बाय यूजर, इस पे तो अभी चर्चा होनी है कोर्ट में।
चर्चा होनी है अभी। वक्फ बाय यूजर पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कमेंट किया है कि जो 400, 500 साल, 300 साल पुरानी मस्जिदें उनको कैसे रजिस्टर करेंगे? यू हैव एनी प्रोसीजर?
नहीं वो तो है, उस पर चर्चा करेंगे। नहीं तारिक खान, देखिए आप सवाल से भटका रहे हैं लोग।
आपने
ये बताइए, जब कोर्ट कह रहा है कि पॉजिटिव जो एस्पेक्ट्स है उसको हाईलाइट कीजिए, तो क्या ऑपोजिशन लीडर्स की जिम्मेदारी है? आप भी बोल दीजिए कि ये एक चीज पॉजिटिव है।
बताएं ना, पॉजिटिविटी बताना इनका काम है।
लेट्स गेट अ रिस्पांस फ्रॉम द बीजेपी। चलिए, यू आस्क्ड अ क्वेश्चन,
में भी बताएं।
लेट्स गेट अ क्वेश्चन एन आंसर फ्रॉम शहजाद पूनावाला।
जब यही कोर्ट ने कहा कि जेन्युइन कंसर्न ओवर वक्फ बाय यूजर, ये पॉजिटिविटी था, नेगेटिविटी था? वक्फ इज नॉट एसेंशियल रिलीजियस प्रैक्टिस, ये पॉजिटिविटी था, नेगेटिविटी था? वायलेंस इज वेरी डिस्टर्बिंग, पॉजिटिविटी था, नेगेटिविटी था? जब ममता बनर्जी की सागरिका घोष राज्यसभा सांसद बोलती है बिहारियों ने ये किया है, ये पॉजिटिव है, ये नेगेटिव है? जब ये कहा जाता है कि बीएसएफ जिम्मेदार है और बीएसएफ को 450 किलोमीटर फेंसिंग नहीं करने दिया जाता या उसका 50 किलोमीटर जुरिस्डिक्शन बढ़ाने नहीं दिया जाता, वो पॉजिटिव था या नेगेटिव था? जब ममता बनर्जी, जो हिंदुओं को मारा गया, चुन चुनकर पानी में पॉइजन डाला गया, जब उनको वहां से प्रताड़ित किया गया, दास परिवार जो पीडीएस से आता है उनका गला काट दिया गया, जब कहा गया कि आप यहां पर रहिए या तो आपका बलात्कार किया जाएगा, जब पलायन करने के लिए मजबूर किया, तो ये पॉजिटिविटी था, नेगेटिविटी था? फिराद हकीम बोलते कुछ हुआ नहीं, ये पॉजिटिविटी है, नेगेटिविटी है? जब ये कहा जाता है कि आंखें निकाल देंगे बापी हल्दार द्वारा, ये पॉजिटिविटी है, नेगेटिविटी है? जब सिद्दीकुल्ला बोलता है 10,000 लोग लाकर मैं जाम कर दूंगा कोलकाता, पॉजिटिविटी है, नेगेटिविटी है? जब इंजामुल हक बोलता है कि ये जो है ये ऐलान जंग है, ये पॉजिटिविटी है, नेगेटिविटी है? परंतु मैं पूछना चाहता हूं आपसे केवल एक सवाल, मिस्टर तारिक खान, ये एक्शन का रिएक्शन था, ये पॉजिटिव कमेंट ही है ना? क्योंकि अगर ये पॉजिटिव है तो फिर गोधरा के बाद ही गुजरात दंगे हुए थे, वहां पर भी स्वीकार लो एक्शन का रिएक्शन था ये। फिर ये भी स्वीकार लीजिए जो एक्शन का रिएक्शन कह रहे हैं, ये जो अलका लांबा कह रही है कि ये तो बुंदा ही नहीं है, ये इसको स्वीकार है, ये पॉजिटिव है, नेगेटिव है? और आखिरी बात मैं पूछना चाहता हूं, अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट की टिप्पणी में जो पॉजिटिविटी ढूंढ रहे हैं, इसी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा था ना 3 तलाक का कानून बनाओ, और यही व्यक्ति यहां पर आकर कहते थे दिस इज टू टारगेट मुस्लिम्स। यही व्यक्ति आकर कहते थे सीए जो है इससे मुसलमानों की नागरिकता छिन जाएगी। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सीए को एक्सेप्ट किया ना? पॉजिटिविटी था, नेगेटिविटी था? इसी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा 370 हटाना सही था। ये पॉजिटिव मानते हो, नेगेटिव मानते हो? तो ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट तो बहाना है, ये शरिया को संविधान पर, उम्मा को उम्मीद पर और दंगाइयों को डेमोक्रेसी पर रखते हैं। वरना बोलिए, एक ने बयान दिया है शरिया इज अबाउट संविधान, आपने उनको क्या बोला?
वी शुड
संविधान के ऊपर शरिया को क्या बोला?
one minute, one person at a time. Tariq bhai, there are others also who have not spoken. Eight minutes. Selam has his hand up. Tehseen Poonawala also joins the panel. Tehseen, good evening. Selam, what do you make of this observation by the court when the court said that we must also highlight the positive aspects of the law?
See, there's a term in the judicial pronouncement. There are certain things that go in the passing, but the matter is sub judice. But we should also note the court has clearly said, as my previous speaker also said, that would you have a Muslim in a Hindu board, right? That's a point number one. Point number two, court also said, if you denotify Waqf by user, then we will have to interfere. They have clearly said it, right? And if you will derecognize it, then there is a problem. They have said it. I would like to quote Martin, who said during the World War II, they came after the, I'll reword it and say, they came after the Muslim brothers I did not do anything because I'm not a Muslim. They came after the Christian brothers. I did not do anything because I'm not Christian. Then they came after me. There was none left. This is exactly what that is happening in this country. BJP doesn't care about anyone. They are the biggest threat to Hindus. They are the biggest threat to everyone. Which is why the BJP government in Gujarat gave the temple land to build malls. VHP had to go to court to reclaim that land. So this Waqf is only to create communal violence in this country. Based on that, they can win elections because people don't want to speak about unemployment and everything. Court is very, very clear that we will not keep quiet if you denotify Waqf by user. Right? So tomorrow is going to continue. They also come against the fact that how are district magistrates coming into this?
You're being too clever. No, 1 minute, sir. 1 minute. Where's that part about highlighting the positive aspects? You've overlooked it completely. Shahzad, 10 seconds. Tehseen, you're next.
Mr. Dharanidharan, Salem Dharanidharan is very happy when Azam Khan is made in charge of Mahakumbh. That is secularism flowing. When Firad Hakim is made the in charge of Tarakeshwar board, secularism is flowing. But if Hindu is put in a statutory body of Waqf board, then secularism khatre mein hai. Waqf by user you need so that the Hindu properties can be taken. Actually Waqf is a purely Islamic concept, but you want the Hindu property to be taken through Waqf by user, but you don't want Hindus in the board. But 5 more seconds. You are saying that they are coming after me. First they came for the Muslim lands themselves, then they came for the Christian lands in Munabbam, then they came for the Vijaypura farmer land, and now they have come for land in Vellore after the 1500-year temple. Yes, they have come to your doorstep, Salam Dharanidharan. They'll say tomorrow that it is my property you are living in. We are stopping that from the Waqf. But you are not able to see because you don't care about the 1500-year-old temple, you don't care about the people of Vellore.
Tehseen, I'm just reading out, some of what happened in the court today. One concern which was raised by Kapil Sibal, he said, Waqf by user has been eliminated. Why should I have to register? The CGI said, registration will help. What is the problem? We were told Delhi High Court is on Waqf land. The other concern by Mr. Sibal was, who is the state to tell us how inheritance will be in Islam? The CGI said it happens in Hinduism. Article 26 applies to all. Asaduddin Owaisi said, non-Muslims will become majority on Waqf boards. The Solicitor General said maximum 2 non-Muslims will be members, will submit affidavit. Imran Masood, the Congress MP, he said worship in mosques stopped in the name of protected monuments. The CGI said all ancient masjids will be protected. They are not hit by this act. Gaurav Gogoi said this bill aims to dilute the constitution. The CGI said cannot say it is unconstitutional if a limitation is imposed. So what are we talking about?
They're talking about certain aspects of the Waqf Act, the amendments, that do violate certain provisions of the Constitution of India. For example, the inheritance on which the Honorable Chief Justice of India spoke to Kapilji, not just violates Article 26, but with that it also violates Article 16, if I may be allowed to articulate, because it steps on the fundamental right of minorities to charity, which is essential Article 16. Now, the inheritance part comes in because if the state has to make sure that somebody has to take care, an individual has to take care of his family before he does charity, why does that not apply in other religions? Why only in one religion? So if you want to apply the principle of Article 14, right to equality, then that should apply for all religions. So I agree with what the Chief Justice said, it should be apply everywhere. Are you ready for that? Now, number 2, the Article 16 is also violative of Article 300, which is not a fundamental right, but a legal right of my right to property. For example, I, Tehseen Poonawalla, decide I don't want to give my property to my child. I want to do Waqf with it. Who is the state to come and tell me, no, you first have to take care of your child? Now it again infringes. If you're going to tell me, are you going to tell this to every single religion? And I'm an atheist, but I'm just making a broader argument. If that is the case, that you're going to tell that to every single religion, what is the provisions brought into that? It also infringes on Schedule 7, because ultimately land in a state subject or in a concurrent subject, land is a state subject, and in this list is a concurrent subject. So why is the union infringing on the state's right? Along with the fact that now this will be now audited by the
Tehseen, let me ask you a straightforward question. Look, 1 minute. You said certain aspects are worrying. But Mamata Banerjee, Rahul Gandhi, Mr. Owaisi, the others, Akhilesh Yadav, etc., they are not saying these certain aspects. They are saying this is unconstitutional, that this is an assault on rights of Muslims, that this will take away their rights. Why resort to this fear-mongering? Look at what's happening in Bengal. I mean, the proof is before us. Tushar Gupta, people who say that I'll come to you. Tehseen, just 1 minute. Tushar, there are people who are saying, 300 साल पुरानी मस्जिद, 400 साल पुरानी मस्जिद, कहां से पेपर लाएंगे? तारिक खान जस्ट सेड इट. आपने पोस्ट किया है कि 1500 साल पुराना जमीन ले लिया, उसका पेपर कहां से आएगा? They haven't factored that in.
Good evening, Pranesh. Exactly, that's my point. Everyone appears to be worried that they don't have the paperwork for a mosque that is 300 years old. I want to ask Mr. Tariq Khan, when the Waqf boards go around town claiming a village that is 1500 years old, what evidence do they have? What paperwork do they have? Tehseen here says some of the provisions of the new amendment are violative of the constitution. Everyone sitting on the panel, there are 8 of us right now. You tell me any one of us would be okay with the Waqf board making a verbal declaration saying this house belongs to us because the land on which it is built was offered by prayer 1000 years ago. Then they won't need the paperwork. I'll tell you, Pranesh, why Waqf by user is so important. And Singhvi himself confirmed it in the court today. Singhvi stated that 4 lakh of the 8 lakh properties are Waqf by user properties, which means verbal declarations, which means negligible paperwork, which means unable to register. And a lot of these properties actually do not have the paperwork because they have been arbitrarily claimed. It's not about the mosque, it's not about the masjids alone. And that is where I had a problem with the Supreme Court's observations, where their viewpoint was quite narrow. Now, Tehseen, I remember once the government authorities came to Tehseen's house and took away his beautiful 15-year-old car, and Tehseen was livid. Tehseen was absolutely angry, and rightfully so. But Tehseen, my dear friend, the same Waqf by user concept allows the Waqf board run by a private citizen to come to your place and say, boss, this land upon which your beautiful house is built is ours. Move out, get out of your house. Is that okay? And then the court is saying, oh, we need to think of the genuine use cases of Waqf by user. This can't go on. The court is very clear that the properties which have been ruled by the court as Waqf properties, they remain Waqf properties. The Waqf by user properties which have the paperwork remain Waqf by user properties. My question is, why so much problem with the paperwork?
No, and even if you, give them the liberty to cite these points, the fact is that the court is still hearing the case. But what about the fact that the court says highlight the positive aspects? How many people on this panel are willing to at least accept it and concede that yes, there are some positive aspects. Let's talk about it. Mr. Rashadi, आप बोलेंगे सर, जो कोर्ट ने कहा है कि कुछ पॉजिटिव चीजें भी हैं, उसके बारे में बोलेंगे?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल पॉजिटिव चीजें. शहजाद साहब बैठे थे बीजेपी के स्पोक्स पर्सन, इन्होंने क्यों नहीं पॉजिटिव चीजों को पॉइंट आउट किया? ये बंगाल चले गए, ये सारे दंगे फसाद बात करने लगे, सब कुछ सारी चीजों की बात कर पाए, पर अपनी वक्फ एक्ट में एक भी क्लॉज पॉजिटिव या हाईलाइट नहीं कर पाए. तो ये पता चल रहा है कि कैसे कितनी पॉजिटिव है. बट स्टिल कोई भी चीज होती है, लेट मी अलाउ मी टू कंप्लीट. कोई भी चीज होती है उसमें हर एंगल होता है पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव. कोर्ट ने अपने ऑब्जर्वेशन रखे हैं, पर कोर्ट ने भी आज जो हमारी सबसे ज्यादा फिक्र थी, जिस बात को लेकर तमाम मुसलमान, तमाम सेकुलर लोग परेशान थे, जो 3 वरी थी, वक्फ बाय यूजर का इशू था, नॉन मुस्लिम के इंक्लूजन का इशू था, उसके बाद जो कलेक्टर को जो राइट दी जा रही थी कि किसी भी इंक्वायरी के दौरान वो डिक्लेयर कर सकते हैं कि ये वक्फ की प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है. जो सबसे बड़े इश्यूज थे, तीनों को एड्रेस किया और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने खुद हाईलाइट किया इन इश्यूज को और इस पे एक इंटरिम ऑर्डर देने की बात भी कही है. तो जो हमारी मुद्दे थे वो तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने खुद अपने ऑब्जर्वेशन में उन चीजों को सामने रखा. रही बात पॉजिटिव्स की, कोई पॉजिटिव्स नहीं है इसमें. और अभी जो मुझसे पहले जो वक्ता बोल रहे थे आरएसएस से अलाइन जो है, मैं इनको साफ फिर से बताना चाहता हूं कि ऐसा नहीं होता कि आप किसी प्रॉपर्टी पे हाथ रख दो, कह दो ये वक्फ की प्रॉपर्टी है और दैट बिकम्स अ वक्फ प्रॉपर्टी. देयर इज अ एस्टैब्लिश्ड प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ. वक्फ भी अपना एक स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी है. इस तरह नहीं होता कोई जाएगा वक्फ कह देगा वो.
ऐसे नहीं होता. तो ये इस तरह से होगा कि नया कानून आया तो मुसलमानों के राइट्स छीन लिए गए. किसका राइट्स छीन लिया गया? आप आ रहे हैं ना, जब से लॉ बना है तभी भी टीवी पे आ रहे हैं कि अब आपको नहीं बुलाया जा रहा है.
दीजिए ना, बात पूरी करने दीजिए. आप पेरेंट एक्ट का क्लॉज 80 पढ़िए, 80 से 89 तक पढ़िए, आपको पता चल जाएगा.
अरे आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने आज क्या बोला है वो भी तो पढ़िए. उन्होंने कहा कि रजिस्टर करने में क्या दिक्कत है, लेकिन नहीं, कागज नहीं दिखाएंगे. बट आपने पूछा शहजाद पूनावाला जो पार्टी के प्रवक्ता हैं, वो पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट्स आपको बताएं. शहजाद, अंडरलाइन 5 थिंग्स.
Look, first of all, in the earlier laws, the onus of proving your case should always be on the person making the claim. But here, if the Waqf declares that certain property is my property, the onus lied on the party which is the subject matter, the victim in this case, to prove that it is not a Waqf property. That means the entire law had been turned around on its head. Then the recourse is to go to the Waqf tribunal, and it has been written in the law that the Waqf tribunal decision is final, except if you go out in a PIL, and a PIL or a public interest litigation or class litigation investigation is a very limited scope, not in a appeal in a civil suit. So these were anomalies that are not present for any other religion. Tehseen Poonawalla is saying this. Where was the equality in for other religions for this kind of claim on other people's properties? And Tehseen Poonawalla has said that if I want to disown my children, why am I being forced that I have to give the share to the female child from my property before making the waqf of it? Tehseen, if a Muslim wants to disown his children, he can very well will the property, just like a Hindu can. Self-acquired property, you make a will and disown your children. But ancestral property, even Hindu has to give the share to the women. And even Muslim will have to give. But you are somehow so against that the women should get the rights. And from Shah Banu to now, from Pasmanda to Mahila, if the women are empowered, if the Pasmanda is empowered, look at all these. Tehseen is not a Sayyid, but the remaining, Mr. Sayyid Tariq Khan and Mr. Sayyid Talha Rashid, they cannot fathom that 85% of the community should get the Samajik Nyay through this. So therefore, they are saying all these things.
एक मिनट मैं आ रहा हूँ
सैयद तो बोलेंगे ही सैयद भी तो बोलेंगे कैसे नहीं बोलेंगे
Manojit Mondal, what is your reading of what happened in the court today, sir? The court said that the violence is condemnable, especially when we are seized of the matter.
You have allowed the BJP spokesperson to malign my state for 20 minutes, now coming to me, despite the fact that I was raising my hand. So I'm quietly leaving the show in protest. Thank you very much.
But however,
no, what are you doing, sir? I didn't get that.
No, one second. When 56 people were killed in 2011 post-poll violence, was it maligning of the state, yes or no? When 2013, 142 people were killed under Mamata's watch, was it maligning or no? When 2018 Panchayati poll, Supreme Court came down hard and said 34% seats are uncontested, was it maligning or no? 2021 rule of law nahi, law of the ruler hai, maligning or no? 2023 Birboom violence, maligning or no? Sandesh Khali violence, maligning or no? Maligning is what you are doing to the state of Swami Vivekananda and Rabindranath Tagore, where the mind was supposed to be free and the head to be held high. Today, if you hold your head high, it will be chopped off whether you are from Das Parivar. In the last show, Manojit Mandal said Das Parivar was killed because he is a CPIM cadre. He has said this on another channel.
No, I know. I mean,
shameless.
This is just deflection by Professor Mamata.
And Sagarika Ghosh said Biharis are responsible. Is this maligning or no?
Usually reasonable, but I don't know. People have died in Bengal, and when you seek accountability, it is not, someone trying to malign the state. The chief minister must own up at the very least. But Tushar, let Tehseen and Tariq Bhai just answer. Okay, go ahead.
Pranesh, an important point was raised here by someone who said that ऐसा नहीं होता कि वक्फ जाके कोई भी अपनी property declare कर दे और उसे अपना बना ले. Before the 2025 amendments, there was a section 40 in the Principal Act of 1995, which was amended in the final months of UP in 2013. Section 40 gave the power to investigate, check if any land parcel belonged to them. And the decision was taken by the tribunal. Which tribunal? The Waqf tribunal. The decision of the tribunal was binding on the owner of that property. All of that has been done away in the 2025 amendments. Now combine section 40, combine the power of the tribunals with Waqf by user, which is verbal declaration. This is what I'm saying. The arbitrary powers of the Waqf by user have now been taken away, and this is what we saw in the court today. The Waqf side of the advocates, they were literally fighting for the arbitrary powers of the Waqf boards through Waqf by user. So please don't say that Waqf ऐसा नहीं करता था कि पूरा प्रोसेस होता था. बिल्कुल एक प्रोसेस होता था. वो पूरा प्रोसेस ऐसे डिजाइन किया गया था that it benefits only and only the Waqf boards, not the actual owners of the property. चाहे वो तहसीन हो या तुषार हो.
Tehseen.
Yes. Tushar made some very valid points, including about the car, but let me just read out what the 1995 amendment said, and then let me bring in the women's rights issue. For a property to be recognized as a Waqf property, it must be properly documented, and there must be a clear intention from the donor to establish it as such, number one. Number two, if a property is already owned by an individual, in this case, Tehseen, as Tushar said, and it is not designated as Waqf or Waqf claims it, it cannot simply be taken over without the consent of Tehseen or due process. Instead, the Waqf authorities can only intervene in this case where the property specifically is meant to serve the larger good of the Muslim community, in which case they can't come and take over my house, which is why the cases of Taj Mahal Parliament were thrown out. But make me make one more thing about the women empowerment. The 1995 Waqf Act said women have to be a part of the Waqf board. Has to be a part, no limit. This act specifically limits it to 2 women. Now tell me, is it the secular Congress government which is women oriented against women, or is it the BJP government that limited it to 2?
Shahzad, respond.
Can you please read the section 40 of 2013 Act, Tessie? You have it open?
No, I don't, but I would. You could read it out. I'll answer.
You can read. Now, whatever the Waqf contemplates as his property, it can go and make a claim on it. And the onus is on the other side whose property has been taken over to prove that this is not a Waqf property. Is this principle of natural justice? Secondly, representation was there for women in the earlier acts. You're right, it was not made compulsory. It has been made compulsory first time. Thirdly, the rights of the women in the property of the ancestral property which can be given for Waqf and thereby the women can be alienated from their right has been secured today. Fourthly, how has Waqf by user properties prior to this law getting notified, they have in fact been protected rather than being taken away. They are now saying that if it is a Waqf by user done in past, there is no retrospective action on those Waqf by user properties. They are to be considered as Waqf by user unless they are government properties or unless they are in dispute. In the case of dispute, the court will decide. Aren't you having the faith in the court of law? So, in fact, this law goes a step ahead and it protects the Waqf by user property. But kya bole, this actually the problem is that this is not a debate between Hindu-Muslim, it is a debate between the Pasmandas who will get the first right now and those who want to grab the land. I am just surprised that Tehseen Poonawalla is standing for the Waqf land grabbers. Despite the fact he knows beer bar is being run on the Waqf property, hotel is being run on Waqf property.
Let's get a response from
He
Tariq
wants
Khan.
beer bar and hotel on Waqf property.
You talked about Pasmanda. Good, very good. Pasmanda should get their right. They are Muslim also, na? Pasmanda are Muslims, na? Muslims. You're a Muslim. You're a Pasmanda. I want you to be a member of Ram Mandir Trust.
Okay.
Ask
Can I
Narendra
answer?
Modi ji. Let me.
Please answer.
Ask
Please.
Narendra Modi ji.
Yes.
Tomorrow, appoint Shahzad Poonawalla as a you're a BJP person.
Yes.
Okay, you're right winger. There would be no problem like Arif Mohammad Khan. Be it there. Appoint him. Simple.
No,
this is the Supreme Court is saying. Let me say something. Let me say something.
complete your
You are
point,
saying
complete
I
your
have not completed 10
Complete
more
your-
seconds. You said civil suit is not allowed in previous law. Okay, very good.
Correct
Now,
tha, wrong
it's a-
tha?
it's a- it's a-
Wrong tha, correct
No,
tha?
no, it's
Right tha na?
No, it's a breach of right to equality to judiciary to reach judiciary. It's all right. It's all right. You said what the new law said. Section 3C 1234. Okay, if the property is not being registered at the district level and the district magistrate will decide on the disputed land that whether it will be
Now,
registered
can I
or not.
answer?
You cannot go anywhere to
Now,
suit
Tariq-
somebody
now,
that,
Tariq
that,
bhai, can I answer?
that
Can
judgment
Pasmanda
would be
answer?
final.
No.
5 more seconds. That judgment would be
Then-
final.
then
Now,
give me
DM अगर कह देता है
हाँ.
कि हम नहीं करेंगे, अब क्या हुआ? Right to go to the court अब यहाँ नहीं आ रहा है.
ठीक.
Section 3C
अब मैं जवाब दे दूं सर?
Read it out.
मैं अब
ये करा
जवाब दे
दीजिए.
दूं? मैं जवाब दे दूं? Sir asked me that tell नरेंद्र मोदी जी कि राम मंदिर ट्रस्ट में शहजाद पूनावाला को क्यों नहीं लेते, मुसलमान है. राम मंदिर ट्रस्ट में उसी तरह से मैं नहीं आ सकता जैसे कि कोई हिंदू सालेन धरणीधरन या प्रणेश कुमार रॉय कैन नॉट कम इन बाबरी मस्जिद ट्रस्ट. बाबरी मस्जिद ट्रस्ट में आप ही बैठो, प्रणेश क्यों आएगा? और राम मंदिर ट्रस्ट में हिंदू ही बैठेगा. हाँ, पर अगर वो बोर्ड होगा एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का तो फिराद हकीम को तारकेश्वर बोर्ड का बनाओगे, आप महाकुंभ का मैनेजमेंट आजम खान को दोगे, पर मैनेजमेंट और एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में हिंदू नहीं आएगा. सुन लीजिए, वन सेकंड, लेट मी कंप्लीट. लुक एट दिस, लुक एट दिस. आप 5-10 सेकंड लीजिए.
बिल्कुल.
लेट मी कंप्लीट. हिंदुओं की इबादत कबूल नहीं है. Can Hindu go to the Hajj? No. सर सुन लीजिए, हिंदू can't go to इबादत फॉर हज, बट हिंदू की जायदाद चाहिए, हिंदू की दुआ नहीं चाहिए, हिंदू का दान चाहिए, वक्फ बाय यूजर में हिंदू चाहिए पर वक्फ बोर्ड में हिंदू नहीं चाहिए. ये कैसा लॉजिक हो गया? वक्फ बाय यूजर में हिंदू का प्रॉपर्टी चाहिए पर वक्फ बोर्ड में हिंदू नहीं चाहिए. यही मानसिकता है.
Let me respond. I have taken your point. Okay, it's all right.
नहीं, क्या हिंदू को तो क्या हिंदू को तो हज, क्या हिंदू को तो हज.
He's not allowing me. You are demanding, people are demanding सनातन बोर्ड. ठीक है, उसमें मुसलमान रखेंगे. हाँ बोलो. Now it's about board. वो बोर्ड में ला रहे हैं, सनातन बोर्ड में रखेंगे. हाँ बोलो. सनातन बोर्ड में शहजाद पूनावाला होंगे.
अच्छा, मैं जवाब दे
हाँ बोल दो.
हाँ
बोल दो. अगर कभी बना तो
जवाब दे देता हूं.
अगर कभी बना तो आप मेंबर रहोगे.
जवाब ले लीजिए सर, जवाब लीजिए.
सुनिए, रिलीजन के मैनेजमेंट का बोर्ड और रिलीजियस बॉडी में अंतर कीजिए. रिलीजन बेस्ड मैनेजमेंट बोर्ड होगा तो उसमें सब लोग होंगे, स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी होगी।
रहोगे, आज बता रहे हैं सनातन बोर्ड वाला, आप मेंबर रहोगे या नहीं?
तारिक, you want to have shouting debate?
नहीं, शाउटिंग की बात नहीं है, आप इस पे भी नहीं कह पा रहे, आप ये भी नहीं कह पा रहे कि मैं राम मंदिर में रहूंगा, आप मुसलमान नहीं कहते हो, 24 घंटे ले सकते हो।
Tariq, I am saying 20 seconds now, you listen patiently.
Fade us down, fade on 1 minute. Don't do this, please.
I am saying there's no need, if you have made such a beautiful point, let the people know now that you have exposed me. Not 20 seconds, hold on. Viewers, there's a difference between a body which is a management body created by act of law and a body which is going to manage religious affairs. मस्जिद की कमेटी में कोई हिंदू नहीं हो सकता। अगर कोई आप बनाना चाहते हैं मुस्लिम बोर्ड बनाइए, मुस्लिम बोर्ड उसमें मुस्लिम ही रखिए। अगर कोई सनातन बोर्ड बनाना है वो सनातन ही होंगे उसमें। पर अगर कोई बोर्ड बनाता है डेवलपमेंट एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का, फॉर इंस्टेंस इफ somebody makes that there is a larger board for the administration of an area, then there will be all kinds of people in the
1 minute. Selam Dharnidharan hasn't spoken. Yes, 1 minute. No, calm down. Shehzad Poonawala, Tariq Khan, 1 minute.
No, I think that is
not. Please, 1 minute. Selam.
No, that is. No, that is not logically coherent. Simply because Waqf is what? A Muslim donating his property, name of God, which has to be used for the betterment of Muslim community. The Waqf board manages that property, so it has to be Muslim. Even then, the administrative office.
I'll tell you, sir, what the problem, the flaw in that argument, Selam, is that it manages property, not mosques. And if you're so concerned about religion, that can you be claiming lands that belong to other religion, Christians, Hindus, Tushar?
Pranesh, आज बहुत लंबी चौड़ी बात हो रही है that can.
Let him make his point. Tushar, I think he's not done. Let him just finish his point, then you can answer.
No, because you interrupted me. Tushar is very, very paranoid. Even before itself, if any arbitration is there, the Waqf board will do the arbitration. If someone is not happy, he can approach the High Court. Who went and sat on which property? No, what has happened? Their property, Muslims have written in the name of God. They have given Waqf. What is the problem here? Now this, for the betterment of that community, the Waqf board manages. Who will decide what is betterment of their community? Them. That is why this interference is bad, we are saying. That is what even the learned Supreme Court has said. Who are we to judge on this matter when the matter is sub judice? Why did we not have this argument when the Supreme Court was hearing on the governor matter that was put up by my chief minister? The Supreme Court today has come out very heavily on the government. No, we are all, the BJP spokesman, trying to
Mr. Dharnidharan, no, what you are saying is not true. 1 minute. The matter, like you said, is still being heard. The court said, the court also...
One line. Mr. Dharnidharan, have you heard of Syed Fazal Pukia Thangal versus Union of India case? Have you heard of Allahabad High Court Hafiz Mohammad Zafar versus UP Central Sunni Board case? And have you heard of Tilakayat Shri Govindiji Maharaj versus State of Rajasthan case? In all three cases, Waqf has been held not to be a religious body, but a statutory body by the highest courts of this country. Are you above the court?
Then Sir. Supreme Court has made this remark. Why does Supreme Court
remark
make this remark
or judgment? Judgment is not overridden by what you are claiming. Show me the remark. Please read out the remark. Please read out what remark has been made.
Why?
Judgment के ऊपर अब remark आ गया. Remark तो बहुत सारे आ चुके कोर्ट के.
Justice had made it there and all leading dailies.
No, you read out the remark.
You can't selectively
read out remark.
You can't
he's reading. He's citing. Sir, he's citing previous verdicts. Here we were discussing observations. So 1 minute. Let's not confuse the viewer. Tushar, you have the last word. Then we move on.
Mr. Dharnidharan says it's for the Muslims, by the Muslims, and therefore the management should be from the Muslims alone. Fair enough. But here's my problem. He's not done his homework. In 2013, in the final months of the Congress, the definition of those who can make a dedication to the Waqf was changed. It was changed to include non-Muslims as well. Before 2013, the definition was about Muslims. But in 2013, the definition was changed to non-Muslims, to include non-Muslims. It changed to any person making a dedication. That is how the Home Minister explained in the Parliament that the Waqf was able to double its land count in 10 years, in the last 10 years. That is how they were exploiting both Section 40 and Waqf by user. And that is why the 2025 amendments changed the definition of those who can make a dedication to those who have been practicing Islam for at least 5 years. Do your homework, read the laws, read the history of Waqf.
You know, Tushar, I'm really concerned about the people who've gone to the Supreme Court seeking, justice in their words, because when the Babri verdict came, we know what they said. So, we have their track record laid bare. It's all out in the open. You can just Google, you will find out what Mr. Owaisi said about the Ayodhya verdict. Viewers,